Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael, and about 15 years ago, my partner and I decided that trading was hard, and most of the junk that we had been taught, had been sold, been exposed to, equated to a steaming, lumpy pile of dog excrement. We, like many of you, succumbed to the glossy PowerPoints and promises of fame and fortune if we only followed these gurus over the wall. If you give me your money, I will teach you to trade millions of contracts from locations all around the world, beautiful women, cars, houses, laptops. All you need is to follow me. All you need is this low lag tool, my trading system. And disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, we pooled our engineering brains. Between the two of us now, we've probably got close to 60 years of engineering experience in various disciplines, and we thought, how does this machine really work? Why do only 5% of people seemingly actually cross the wall? Why do the 95% of people who fail? And the answer we discovered astounded us. If we look at this chart on General Electric, GE, I want you to notice what is happening on this screen. If I were to tell you that this was an indicator that tells us up to 100 years in advance when the buying and selling signals were coming, what would you say? If I were to tell you that this indicator tells us 100 years in advance every one of the buying and selling pressure days on General Electric, what would you say? Anybody? Generally speaking, the price of GE goes down or sideways at the sell dots and goes up around the green dots. What if I told you we knew those dates 100 years in advance? This is a list of the dates of the full and the new moon. And I'm showing you this as one example of something we discovered in our research nearly 15 years ago. That is to say that markets are predictable. Not only are they predictable, but institutions like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, I believe, Deutsche Bank, if you want to lump those turd buckets into this, they know this about markets and people and physiology and psychology. They know that there are cycles in the world, large and small alike, and those cycles are predictable. If you talk to, for example, a real estate agent, they'll tell you it's about an 11 to 13 year boom and bust cycle between can't sell these houses and I wish I had more houses to sell. And generally in between, you'll catch real estate agents out in the Bahamas or Fiji, relaxing and waiting for the beginning of the next cycle. And so if we come on to any Google website, Lunar dates calendar, I can come here and I can look into the next 100 years, and it will tell me when the next full moon and new moon cycles are for July, August, September, October, December 26th, and December 14th, December 12th, this year will be a red and a green dot. And that puzzles me. It puzzles me tremendously. In fact, when I have been on the Facebook groups these last few weeks, I've been using those same cycles on E-mini S&P trading groups with anywhere from 5 to 10,000 people in the group to predict when the turns were going to be in the world's largest stock market. And if you go back and check in my posts, which are recorded for posterity, I predicted the down move on April 19th, the up move on May 5th, the down move on May 19th. I also predicted the up move on the 24th of May and the subsequent down move on May 30th. I also know when the next full moon is coming. And these have been extremely profitable discoveries, but it took understanding that cycles, predictable cycles, exist in the markets. The guy who first figured this out was a knucklehead named William Delbert Gantt. He lived back in the early 1900s and quite possibly existed in a time where one or all of you subscribed to one of three prevailing theories. Ralph Elliott, for example, who was born in 1871, died in 1935, believed markets were predictable, but you had to look at structure. We get the phrase Elliott waves as a result of his work. And if you look at what he said back in 1946, he believed that humans were subject to rhythmical procedure. That's another way of saying cycles. And that if you calculate those cycles correctly, you can project far into the future when the next move is going to come. So Elliott believes in the predictability of markets and bases his entire work on structure: X to A to B, B to C, the C wave, and so forth. When we come back and look at the second man who's responsible for much of what people are looking at today, Richard Wyckoff, is born 1873, and he makes it a year less than Elliott, kicks the bucket in 1934, and he comes back and says, listen, if you want to predict when a move is going to occur, you have to watch price in relation to volume. So if you watch volume when you trade or you use order flow analysis, you look at a DOM, you look at TPO charts, you have this guy to thank. And Wyckoff believed that markets were predictable if you watched how many shares of a contract or a stock passed from hand to hand as price was rising or falling. And so the third guy, quite often referred to in many trading periodicals and studies. Again, he's a latecomer to the party. He's born in 78 in a family farm in Lufkin, Texas. Brothers and sisters, his parents were all about learning and books and education. And he moves to New York City, and his brother John actually fronts him the money he needs to start trading. And Gann kind of outlives all of them, and he says that, hey, these two guys were pretty smart, they did good, but ultimately he believes that time is the ultimate predictor of movements. And he proceeds to start trading and making a name for himself, big trades. And people start watching and saying, what is he basing this stuff on? And shortly afterwards, we began to have very detailed records of trades that he took in public in front of people based on predictive time. Later in his life, he sort of stands on a virtual pillar, and he wants the world to know, if you're struggling, there's something that you don't know, that institutions know. There's a reason why you're in the 95% as opposed to the 5. And he stands on this rock and he shouts out with a voice that sounds very much, I believe, like Bush, President Bush, who's born in an area not too far from Lufkin, Texas. And he says, time is the most important factor in determining market movements. And by studying the past records of the averages of individual stocks, you will be able to prove for yourself that history does repeat, and that by knowing the past, you can tell the future. And so that takes a lot to swallow until you look at a chart like this. And you realize a middle-aged, balding, overweight guy in North Carolina, that would be me, is able to, with near laser-like precision, tell people in advance when the largest market in the world is about to go up or down. And so I wanted you to see that there are tools that people are looking at without your knowledge. And we could apply this to Tesla or Nvidia. We could apply it to any one of a number of stocks. And we can just look at lunar phases and the like. Here we have to move our stop a little bit further away because it's a larger decimal point. So we'll put a 0 at the end of this one and a 0 at the end of this one, hit apply. And now you'll see if you're trading Nvidia and you want to know when to buy and when to sell, those same dates are kicking in, and the institutions know that people are about to get excited and purchase. And so you can buy Nvidia and sell it, buy Nvidia and sell it, buy Nvidia and sell it, buy Nvidia and sell it right before it drops, buy Nvidia and sell it right before it drops. And guess what? There's another signal coming in 3 days. Markets are predictable. And so nearly 20 years ago, we discovered that there's this whole other discipline of trading. One of the ways that I can prove to you that markets are predictable is by giving you the times in advance so that you can see for yourself. And last week, if you were here at our webinar, you'll know that we've been studying the E-mini S&P, and I've been showing you on a daily chart using our intraday to daily software when the next predicted up move was coming. If you haven't joined our class or our YouTube channel, we're available at YouTube at Back to the Future Trading. And last week, I told everyone that was here that the next up move was coming. And that up move was expected on May 25th. How many of you remember that from last week? Anybody? We had two signals, the 24th and the 25th. And the prior up move that I told you about was on May 15th. The prior down move that I warned you about was on May 8th. And if you're watching from home, the settings that I'm using are as follows. Trading days, 1, 2, 3, 0 with a swing strength of 5. Trading days, swing strength 5, 1, 2, 3. And I have a year, 10 years of signals loaded, 3,650 days. And so last week, in the heart of the debt crisis, I told all of you, hey, up from the 25th until when? June 6th. June 6th is the next selling pressure time. And that's one way that I use to get your attention if you're failing at trading. We are the only company that does not market to people like a Ron Popeil rotisserie chicken commercial. We're the only company that I can tell who is standing up week after week, now over 13, 14 years, giving people the times in advance from daily charts all the way down to 1-minute NASDAQ charts. Bitcoin, Ethereum, pound dollar, euro dollar, all these times are available in the future. And we publish those times in advance and then kind of come back and ask people to look at whether or not the directions are working. Hang on one second. So what we're going to do is we're going to look and see together how those forecast times work. Did any of you guys follow along this week with the signals that we publish in advance? You did? Okay, great. You did also? Okay. So let's pull up that web page here. Stand by. I should have had this ready for you guys. It's just a little harder for me to log in now. Here it is. Woo! So earlier in the week, if you've been going through our website demo, you'll see that we have the forecast times for the S&P E-mini, the E-mini 3-minute, 5-minute, CL 3-minute, 1-minute, GC 5-minute, the DAX, Euro currency, the Dow, the NASDAQ, Euro dollar, pound dollar, and Ethereum. And so if we look at what was expected, on Thursday, we had the forecasts available for the E-mini S&P 5-minute chart and the E-mini S&P 3-minute chart. What are these charts trying to communicate to us? Well, before we get into that, I want to tell you how the tool does what it does. Because we believe the game is rigged, because we believe that these institutions know these cycles, perpetuate them, and generally run stops around the beginning and end of them, we scan the market for historical evidence of manipulation. Historical evidence of manipulation. So for example, for this Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we asked the program to go back and look at the last 2 Thursdays. And the software studies whether the market went up or down. It studies the times that the markets went up and the times that the market went down, and asks the question, are there any times where that's consistently happening? And so once the market closed last Thursday, the software did its calculations, and it scanned and it scanned and it scanned, and then produced the output, or what we call the histogram. And all of the buy times were times that we were expecting another round of manipulation. If JP Morgan did it last week, if JP Morgan did it 2 weeks ago, there's a pretty good chance they're going to do it this week too. And so today, we kind of come back out of warp speed and we look and we see, did they actually do what we were expecting them to do in the market that we were following? So we're able to do this intraday on markets like the E-mini S&P, on markets like oil futures. Let me reload this and get it ready so we can actually see what's going on here. We have the ability to look and scan and determine where the moves are expected to occur, and more importantly, when they're expected to continue. If you look to the right of the current signal here, how many of you can see, oh, wrong line. How many of you can see the next moves coming up? A sell signal at 8:36, a buy signal at 9:34. We're the only company that's telling you in the future when the moves are likely to occur. Based on what? when the shadiest people on earth are pushing prices higher and lower over and over and over again. So if you believe markets are rigged, this is sort of the answer key to when will they do that again. Everybody with me so far? Nod your heads up and down if you're with me. Yes or no? We good? We're good. Okay. So we have a veritable smorgasbord of times to study and look at. We can look at the Bitcoin 5-minute chart, for example, and we can study where those moves occur and what happened at them today. We can take note of the fact, for example, that we were expecting an up move in Bitcoin at 11:15, a down move at 12:25, an up move at 12:35 until 1:10, and then a drop until 2:05, and then an attempted run up at 2:05. We can come back and look historically to see what happens in Bitcoin at these buying and selling pressure times, and see that yesterday we were expecting a move up at 8:15, a move down at 9:40, a move up at 10:40, and then a move down at 11:25. And what you start to see is there was a plan for the moves in Bitcoin in advance of the actual market opening. I'm going to say that again because some of you are honestly a little slow. These signals were available before the market opened. We knew the buy times, you knew the buy times and the sell times before 6:25, before 8:15. This leaves one possibility. Somebody who wasn't you had a plan for Bitcoin. But Michael, it's a cryptocurrency. You see, there's this blockchain, and there's teenagers all over the world using computers, and they're hooked up to solar panels and nuclear reactors, and it's impossible to manipulate the price of Bitcoin. Your software, and here it is 2 days later. Up and down and up and down and up and down. Fun fact, if we come over and we pull up any of our other charts, where's that GE chart that we had a minute ago? I think we changed it to something else. There's NVIDIA. If we change this to Bitcoin, I want you to look and see where the full and new moon signals are. Did I do this right here? Yep, they're too far away. Hang on. Hang on. We got to bring them back home and take away the zero that we added. I want you to see that the world's least manipulated market, if you come and look at these times, Dave, can you see what's happening at the full and new moons with Bitcoin? Boy, it sure seems to me like the prices are rising and falling just like they are with GE. And so it stands to reason that we can come and look and see what happens intraday. When we look at gold prices, here's one of the markets that we gave you the signals in advance for. There it is, GC 5-minute. And if we come and look at what's been available since Tuesday, remember, these times were published since Tuesday. Blow this up. These are the times that we've been waiting since Tuesday for. Well, what were we waiting for? We were waiting for buying times on the white side and selling signals on the blue side. Why are these signals here? Because last Thursday and the Thursday before that, somebody pushed the markets up and down at those times. Well, why would they do that? Because banks operate like casinos. They lend your government money. There are more and more members of Goldman Sachs in each consecutive presidential administration. Trump had Goldman Sachs representatives. Obama had Goldman Sachs alumni. Joe Biden has Goldman Sachs advisors and people in the cabinet. The bankers are everywhere. And they like messing with your account and taking money from your equity and putting it in their account. And just like they know when the next full moon is, they know when they're going to push gold prices higher and when they're going to push gold prices lower. Now, the best part of being me, one of the greatest parts of being me, aside from my superior intellect and incredible muscles and strength and all of my talent and attributes, is I get to come here and show you what actually happened at the times the software warned us that Goldman might push again. And so I have a signal at 540 down, at 505 up. Then I had a small retracement, and we were looking for a move at 6 o'clock until 7 o'clock for gold to go higher. How many of you are with me so far? Look right here and look here. This has been available since Tuesday, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock down until here. Ready? 6 o'clock Eastern until 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock until 8:45. Can everyone see that the selling stopped in gold? Doug, how are we able to do this if it's not real? The 95% of people who are not trading as well as they could be, it's not magic. It's not magic. It's reality. How many of you remember the movie The Wizard of Oz? Most of you are old enough to remember The Wizard of Oz. And Dorothy and Toto and the Scarecrow, they're lollygagging around and they believe that there is the almighty wizard, the almighty, all-powerful wizard who controls Oz. And everything is magical and random and mysterious. And then at one point, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. They discovered that everything they thought was real was an illusion. It wasn't a manipulation. He was manipulating people's perception of what was really happening. Somebody was pushing buttons and levers. And when we look at gold, man, it's not 100%, but boy, it sure is pretty close, right? If you wanted to know when to buy and when to sell gold, we can see coming into the future where the next times are. And we can see looking into the past what the track record of the tool is. This is not masonry, no. I am not a 33-degree mason. There are no meeting halls with blacked out windows and curtains. And so what we're doing here with you is we're pulling back the curtain in every market. And what the Warp tool does, and has done for close to 15 years now, thousands of customers around the world, is it tells us, listen, going into Friday, here are the patterns. Here are the times you should be watching for selling and watching for buying, because it's happening over and over again. And there may very well be another 7 o'clock move. There may very well be another 3 o'clock move. another 945 move? Why don't you try to risk a little bit to see if we catch another 845 leg? And those times populate forward into the future, where we have the entire morning session of the US right now. And the only times that appear on the screen are not there because I am a guru and Jesus came to me in a fever dream. Allah told me what times, and I descended from the mountain with these tablets and times scribed into them, and now as your beloved guru, I am providing them to you. No! The only reason these times appear on this chart is because these times repeat lately a lot. Takahiro, you're back. Is this the week lightning strikes, Takahiro? Can I count all of my lucky stars? Is it okay for me to ask? Do we get to dance today? or will you forever remain a longing in my heart? Is this just two ships passing in the night once again, and you're really close, but not quite close enough? So we study these times because this seems to be how the market works. This seems to be how the market works. And we're able to project in the future with enough accuracy that Takahiro comes back every week to see, is it still working? Yes, it's still working. And you still didn't make any money using it. It's still working. So how do we trade it, right? It's one thing to say, hey, this is cool and it's working, but how do we trade it? And so in the class that I teach every week, I give out some pretty basic rules. And there's a difference between the signals and a setup. For example, if we were looking at gold, we can sort of study that chart and see that most of the time, right, 6 or 7 times out of 10, if we're waiting for a signal in gold, it actually occurs. So if we're waiting, for example, for selling pressure signals that actually worked, we can come here and draw an arrow at the times where it's very obviously a high or a low, right? Your eye sort of naturally picks these out and says, yeah, Michael, those signals were highs. And the signals here that we were waiting for up moves that actually produced up moves, you can see where I'm putting my cursor. Most of you would agree that these are the times where the signal we were waiting for actually happened, right? If I do that, is there anyone here who would disagree with my assertion that in gold, using the times that I provided for the last 2 days, about 60 to 70% of the time, the signals we were waiting for to go up worked, and the signals we were waiting for to go down worked? Hello, Billy, again. Can we agree that the signals, without any kind of trading rules or stop losses or entries or exits, the raw signals up and down actually worked? How do you explain the one trade that didn't work, Michael? How do you explain, which one are we talking about, Billy? The 10 at 25 a.m. signal right here. How do I explain that one? Okay, so now we're moving out of signals into setup, which is cool. When I teach the system that I teach, I'm referencing a trend paradigm. And in a trend, Billy, the market moves according to how Wyckoff told us it would move. What does that mean? It means this. When the market moves up in an uptrend, you have a leg up and a retracement, we have a leg up, And then Billy, when we get to the selling times, there's consolidation with a breakout. This is called a reaccumulation phase. And what happens in a reaccumulation phase is people are getting out of the trend, they're selling, and new people are onboarding the trend. They're coming in. This is a staple, a fundamental element, a quintessential part of trend. It happens going up and it happens going down. So when we get to selling pressure times, in the system I teach, it's a time to take profit. Reaccumulation signals are times we take profit. And what we expect to see around those times are sideways movements. So if we come and look at the signal that we were just studying, which is the one you wanted me to look at, the 1025. Billy, do you notice what starts to happen as we get into that zone? Can you see this right here? Would you agree, Billy, that the market is going into one of those reaccumulation phases where people are selling at the top and buying at the bottom? Can we, yeah, so we agree in theory that that's happening. So while I don't see a pronounced move down, it doesn't go like this. There's no chart really ever where my signal times are like, it went up, it went down, it went up, it went down, it went up, it went down. And the buy signals were all here, and the sell signals were all here. That would be a range market, and the market ranges approximately, what is it, 60 to 70% of the time. It trends 30 to 40% of the time. That was the old stat. So what I do is enlist the following rules. We'll use gold and then we'll check out the S&P here in a minute. In my system, I account for that. And I say this, hey, if we have a buy signal, and I showed you this last week too, in the direction of the trend, and TachEon, in my webinars, I used 120, and in my personal trading, I use a 20. I have a more aggressive personality, borderline ADHD, and so I use a faster moving average on some of the faster moving markets. The NASDAQ 1 minute in particular is my favorite. Also Russell and crude. In the webinars, TachEon, I've been using a 120 for the demonstrations for over 14 years now. So Billy, when we arrive at the signal times, if it's a buy signal, I'm going to buy and exit at the times people have been normally selling. Does that make sense? I'm going to buy when people have been historically buying. Everybody else is already buying. They pour gasoline on that fire. Price goes up, and now I exit at the time people normally do what? Sell. And then 712, the fire is still raging. Pour gasoline on it. I enter, and then I exit at the time people historically do what? Sell. So that's the first setup. There's a variation of that setup called a crossover. And Doug, when I have a signal below the moving average, if it eventually closes above the moving average, that's my entry, and my stop is 1 to 2 ticks below the candle that crossed over. And I exit, Billy, at the time people historically normally sell. That's a crossover. Doug, the final setup is called a puncture. And here's why I use it. Billy actually taught it to us in a way by asking the question. When I get to a sell signal in an uptrend, if they're done selling, Billy, they break out and they keep going. They're either finished selling or they're not selling at all. And so, Doug, what I'll do is say, hey, if that's the case, I'm going to put my entry right at the stop of the sell signal. And if it breaks through that line, I'm going to buy, because it means the selling is over. So 9:30, Billy, it's supposed to do this. Or, Billy, it's supposed to do this and eventually go. So we're going to have a markdown or a reaccumulation phase with a breakout. I am not your guru. I do not have a spidey sense. My butt doesn't tingle where I utter magical words to my sycophantic followers and say, you must follow my instinct. Instead, I say, wait till it goes through the stop line. So now let's go back and look at gold and apply a setup to the signals. Ready? 6 o'clock, below the moving average, below the moving average, below the moving average. Ding! What happens right here? A crossover trade. Doug W, my stop, goes right under this candle. How many ticks? 1 to 2. Billy, how long does this trade have before historically the sellers come in? 7 o'clock. So I enter on the close of the crossover candle. I exit by 7 o'clock. Boom. 5.4. There's $540. So now here, the candle closes below the moving average. It's a crossover trade. Pretty big risk. That's a $620 risk. How far does it go down? 43. My break even is 50. It does not go $500. It only goes 430. So Billy, I'm stuck. What do I got to do? I got to log the loss, and I get out. I get out with a $210 loss because it closes higher than it started by 8:45. One win, one loss. Doug, 8:45 is what? I only have a couple things that I can choose. It's a throwback. It looks like it's ready to go up. Do I have a condition for this? I do. It's in my PowerPoint that we've seen each week. That's a signal with trend. At 8:45, the market is already rising. At 8:45, there's a historical pattern, a tendency for markets to go up even higher. We enter at the close of the candle in gold. Billy, how long do we hold it? It goes up and then it pulls back into 925. I got to get out by 925. The party is historically over by then, $250. Now, Billy, what happens at selling pressure signals in an up move? The market goes into a consolidation zone and then it breaks out. I do not have a spidey sense. All I know is if it goes through that line, I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to put a stop right below the candle that went through it, and I'm going to get out by the next time signal. Bing, $190. I'm going to enter at the signal 9:45. Boom, 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 goes up. Whee! I don't finish quite that high, only up $50. Consolidation, consolidation, consolidation. We're slowly trickling up. Boink! It comes right through. Boink! And I get nothing. I get nothing out of the move. 11:25 is a signal with trend. It's not a puncture. I have to get in. They throw gas on the fire. 2 days after I gave all of you the times, we exit at 12:10. Lunchtime is over. What do we get? 500, 250, 750, plus 20, plus 5. It's a profitable day. Yay. So when we apply a very simple trading setup to the times, the signals, we filter out about half. We filter out about half the signals because we're only looking in the direction of the times. What's magical about it is we're shining a flashlight on the wizard. Billy, the wizard is not an all-seeing, magical, holographic being. He's a guy at JP Morgan in New York City with a mahogany desk and a Bugatti Veyron at his Hamptons home, married to a 24-year-old gold digger. That's the wizard. That wizard also has a super PAC and contributes millions of dollars to Republican and Democratic candidates all over the world. That's the wizard. And the software, again, 20 years, almost 20 years ago, my partner and I looked at each other and we said, if the markets are more like casinos, let's study the slot machines. Is there a time of day where it's apple, apple, apple? Is there a time of day where it's jackpot, jackpot, jackpot? I don't want to put my quarter in the machine when it's cherry, lemon, tree fig. I don't know. So on the S&P today, Billy, if I followed those exact same rules, 1.5 ATR on the stop, 120 period moving average, the crossovers and the signals with trend, what did that reveal from London till the afternoon when I was drawing this earlier? Plus 250, plus 3 ticks, plus, got to put the glasses on, plus $6.50, plus $9.75, plus 250, plus $1, minus $1, minus $1.50. And then the signal here at 250, if you're still trading in the afternoon, it goes up another $350. So these signals are now moving forward into the future. We are the only company who is shining a flashlight on the wizard. And so, Billy, here are the times for tomorrow's market right now. I guess one can just pick one chart, one instrument, and trade it the whole day, whole week. Master one, and that's it. Most of the customers I've spoken to who are net profitable, Billy, have between 2 and 4 charts on their monitor. That's it. Now, if you're Earl in Florida, you have 392 monitors, 2 of which are like 90 inches large. It's your life. You love looking at That's a true story, by the way. Earl, how many monitors do you have? How far was I off from 350? It's like 18, if I remember correctly. But most people have a couple, and they focus on, Earl says I have 14 now. So he's paring down. He's paring down. So Billy, I focus on this market. This is my baby, the NQ 1 minute chart. And can you see where you might have bought and sold using the times that we published 2 days ago? I like the NQ because it moves fast. Every chart that you see me use in the webinar are referencing a 120 period moving average. Tim Murphy says a laptop from Starbucks is all you really need. So Tim's a minimalist, right? And there's room for everybody. I have 3 monitors. One of them is for trading. One of them is for Skypes and communications. The other is for YouTube music playing in the background. Each monitor has its specific purpose right now. Yeah, Earl said if he had to trade off a laptop, he would lose his brains. It would not be a good day for him. So if you look at the NASDAQ this morning, Billy, how random was that market? There were some shenanigans at the open, but if we really concentrate on it, let's see if we're in that 60 to 70% window 2 days later, right? Just look at what happened most of the morning at the times that we were expecting moves since Tuesday. This goes into lunchtime. We have that sideways movement here, and then the breakout, and then the move down at 944, move down at 919, 908, and up at 854. NQ is not a monster. They want you to believe the wizard is real. He's not real. The 931 signal is actually off 1 bar. It was 932 before it shot back up. We're off about 30 seconds to a minute on that one. But let me just reiterate something here before we continue. Those 1 minute NQ signals were published on the internet for people who were following along since Tuesday. Are you gonna populate? There we go. These are the 1 minute signals that we were just looking at. And when we compare what's been available, up, down, up, down, up, down, 933, 946, 952, 933, 946, 952, all these times are the ones we have. If you have a signal either up or down that leads into the open, what's your entry and exit parameters for dealing with the 930 open? I generally avoid the 930 open because it's, oh, I have the wrong times, Doug. Sorry. Good call. I had it saved with the wrong parameters. I was using the 1, 2, 3, 11 instead of the 7, 14, 8. Thank you for that. These were the wrong times, Billy. Let me go back and put the right times on top. Thank you, Doug, for catching that. There we go. So Doug, these are the right times. Do these match now? I had the wrong settings on there. I was working with a customer earlier. That should match right now. Okay, cool. Thank you for catching that. So Takahiro at the open, I generally avoid the first 5 minutes because it's a little insane unless the risk is really, 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 really low. So in this case at 933, I'm below the moving average anyway, and I wouldn't have had a chance to buy until 941. And that trade would have been a stop out. Makes sense? Yeah, that's pretty volatile area right there. You get that one candle in the NASDAQ, it's going to rip your face off. Pound dollar, same nonsense. La 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 la. La 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 la. Billy, you buy at the buy times, you sell at the sell times, you buy at the punctures. So if you're a forex trader, you're long at 555, 720, 855, 935, 10 o'clock. You're long at 1115, 110, and 255 in the direction of the trend. And we'll get rid of that. Also works on European markets. If you're looking at the DAX, you'll get those same types of moves and signals over the last 2 days on the DAX. You can again see the signals are in that 60 to 70% window. Yesterday in the DAX, if you were trading, you'll see that the moving average is down. When the 120 is down, we're looking for the sell signals and exiting at the buy signals. So a lot of European traders are using this, and they're getting in, getting out, getting in, getting out, puncture, get out, get in, get out, puncture, get out, signal with trend, get out, puncture by 1 tick and a stop out, get in, Billy, get out, no puncture, get in, get out, get in, hit the stop. Yeah, the DAX is a monster. Billy, if you want to get your face torn off, I'll introduce you to Earl. He's one of my customers, and the two of you can take brandy shots in the middle of the night and trade the DAX together. That thing is, what is that, Earl? Like $9,000 per tick now? The DAX is the only market that scares me. Everything else is something I can get my head around. Yeah, Rich, hang on. I'll pull that back up. Make sure I'm on the same page. Yep. Rich, this is the same as the other markets. It's a swing strength of 8, 6, 7, 8. Calendar days, 7/14/00. So what I wanted you to kind of take away from this, we can use what are seemingly ridiculous things. We do have a trading room. Yes, Billy, actually. And for those of you that are customers, we're going to have 2 trading rooms in July. One is run by a customer in the UK named Colin, and I'm going to be teaching one July 10th through August 10th, I think, or 11th through the 11th. And it's going to be for our Force customers and our Warp customers. So if you got that email, I'm going to have my own training room for a full month showing the signals in real time. But I wanted you to see whether we were trading with lunar signals or we were looking at stocks like GE or Apple or all these other things. Markets are predictable, and they don't want you to know this. They want that secret, that closely guarded secret, contained. If people started to realize when these times were coming, it stops working. And if you don't believe me, they told you themselves what they were doing. The international financier, the owner of the world's largest bank, which is still the world's largest bank, which continues to buy other smaller banks in the recessions that they cause, he knew all about these cycles. He knew that they were predictive. He knew what human psychology does around these dates and times. He knows the moments in advance when people are greedy and buying and fearful and selling. They told us what they knew. No one believes them 150 plus years later. So we can use a market like this. We can use signals like this. We can use them on the largest stock market. And then we can, like we said earlier, we can apply them intraday and see over and over and over and over again how manipulated markets like the S&P really are. What happens when we get to the predictive buy times in the E-mini S&P? It goes up most of the time. All the time? No. I am not Bernie Madoff. I do not have a 100% track record. I do not have a cell next to Elizabeth Holmes from Theranos. But Your Honor, can I not go to jail for a couple more months? I just got pregnant again so I could stay out of jail. Nah, you're going to jail. But I just started a crossword puzzle, and I don't think I'll be able to finish it in time. And that'll be really nah, you're going to jail. Aw. Those are the only people with 100% signals. I don't have that. But if you want to wake up in the morning and you have a plan and you see the schedule, you're less anxious about it. All right, at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be looking for a long. Let me see what my other signals say. Do they confirm it? Let me check the trend. Is it in the direction of the trend? Is the risk within my risk tolerance? Let's see. Let me enter. And if it starts moving in your direction, you know how long to stay in. If it starts moving in your direction, you know that it's not working. If it's failing, don't move your stop. The stop takes you out so you can survive till the next trade. It didn't work. It was one of the 3 or 4 times that it failed. What do? I wait for the next signal. I'm going to make a sandwich. I'm going to watch a Richard Simmons exercise VHS tape. I'm going to walk my peculiar little dog to my neighbor's mailbox to make a pee-pee. Do anything but sit in front of the monitor all day. The gurus want you to sit in front of the screen all day. The banks want you to sit in front of the screen all day. The longer you sit there, the longer they have a chance to get their money back. The longer you sit there, the more programs the guru can sell you. Oh, you didn't hear about our super titanium workshop this year in Myrtle Beach? Yeah, for just $13,000, you can come to my house and eat watercress sandwiches and watch me trade. Ah. All right, I guess I'll do that. You don't have to do that with this. You just sit here and you go, all right, $7.50, time to buy. $9.45, time to sell. $1.55, time to buy again. Let's see if it works. And we can go back. These are all actual predicted times that we were expecting moves to occur. There's no repainting. There's no signals that disappear and reappear later. 50 years from now, if you load the data from this year, it's going to match my times. None of those shenanigans that other vendors do. And guess what? The markets are moving at 6 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. When you're sitting there watching your Matlock reruns, Murder, She Wrote at the commercial, look at the NASDAQ, take a trade. Look at oil futures, take a trade. 24/7, World War III is happening right now. Did you know that? World War III is going on right now. Markets are moving. What are you doing? Take the P90X DVD out, get all that spandex off, load up your laptop, and wait for the next time. Try it with a little bit of risk and see what happens. Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted. Almost lost my voice that time. I was pretty adamant. Trading is not about the past. If you were looking at a past indicator, if you're looking at something that measured what something did already, if you're looking at order flow or fractals or fib levels, if you're looking at volume or support and resistance levels or pivots, if you're looking at any of those other things, candle patterns, it's already happened. It's in the past. Those things, more often than not, are an illusion to create a false perception and expectation. That is why most of the time you are in the wrong direction. You place a buy order, it goes what direction? Doo, 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 doo. You place a sell order, boop, 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 boop. How did they know? They create these traps. But my volume was confirming an up move. My super platinum order flow delta was flashing a green signal. Yeah, it's telling you what happened already. We are the only company that tells you what is likely to happen based on what usually happens at that time. I had a friend who cheated on his wife, not a close friend. He was an associate. He came to a Bible study that I had in my house. He gave me an oil lamp that was 800 years old. He collected biblical artifacts, and he gave me one, a good man. And his wife, Sandra, figured out when he was coming home late from work at the hospital, he was not buying oil lamps. His wick was somewhere it wasn't supposed to be, Billy. And she hired a private investigator, and he showed her pictures, and he said, your husband goes to the Red Roof Inn from the hospital near my house at 6 o'clock. He comes out at 5:15. He meets up with a lady who worked there, an administrator, and they drive to the Red Roof Inn. And I'm guaranteeing you now, he wasn't showing her his oil lamp collection. And Billy, she took the report and she went to the hotel. She didn't go at 8 o'clock at night. She didn't go at 4 o'clock in the morning. She went at 5:30 because that's the time Joel met the administrator at the hotel every day. Not every day, most days. She knew what the behavior pattern was. It wasn't a prediction. It was just basically showing up when the thing usually happens. Most of us believe that stuff isn't occurring. And I've learned the older I get, the more often, the older I get, the more that stuff is occurring. I just didn't want to believe it. And that's what the software does. It tells you when JP Morgan is about to cheat. And you're like, no, JP Morgan, they're a good bank. My cousin has an account with them. They would never do that. Okay. Okay. 8:30, we're going up. Boop, 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 boop. Oh. 9:47, it's going to drop. Boop, 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 boop. So I want you to have this tool. It's been in development for a very long time. Not because I'm your guru. I'm not your guru. I'm just like you. I walk on land. I eat peanut butter sandwiches. I'm grumpy sometimes, and I watch weird YouTube videos. I'm not some superhuman intellectual guy. I just figured out how the machine works. I figured out there's a dude behind the curtain, and if we study him, we can tell when he's going to pull the lever and push the button most of the time. It is not a fair game. You will not succeed by learning more. You will not succeed by reading more books. You will not succeed by keeping a trading journal. You will not succeed by trolling trading forums and trying to pick up little tidbits. I know this because I tried. I know this because I asked all of you, did it work for you? And you all said no. It is a fixed game. And according to Gann, one of the most successful traders nearly 2 centuries ago now, if you study the records of the markets you're trading, you will be able to prove for yourself that history does repeat. And by studying the past, you can tell the future. If you would like this for yourself, the program we are referring to is an indicator for Ninjatrader called TachEon Warp. And the link for the product is in your GoToWebinar chat box. At the very bottom of the page is a Buy Now button. Billy, there is a live trading room. There is a live trading room. Rand, here, that is it's a plugin for Warp that lets you do some analytical stuff. It's more like a strategy tester plugin for Warp. You need that if you're going to be doing advanced analyses, but in the beginning, you're going to have to start with Warp as a ground floor entry. Billy, if you want that room, it meets 8 to 12, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every week. I have a room. That's the one I think I want you to join up with in July. If you get the software, there'll be emails about that, and Dave can help you get it set up when you get your software. If you don't want it, don't get it. No worries. There's a purchase agreement. You have to agree to the purchase agreement. And then when you get ready to check out, there's a promo code I want you to use. Let me get a nice color here that you can see. The promo code is W. Takahiro, you probably have a tattoo of this by now. WARPOFF. All one word, no spaces, lowercase letters. When you plug Warp Off into this box, it will take $500 off the price. This is where I sound like a used car salesman for a second, but the marketing people told me if I want to compel you to purchase, I should offer a discount code. There are people who go to the website and pay full price all the time. They don't come to a webinar. If you sat here through my craziness, you deserve a little extra something for the missus. Take her out to the Outback, get the bloomin' onion on me. It is. Rand here, that's available for sure. I would suggest you get the first one, use it for a month at least before you consider getting the plugin. Make your money back with Warp first before you invest it in the other thing. I think that's fair. This is 2 computer licenses. It is a lifetime license. There are no fees or ongoing charges after this. It's a one-time fee. There is a video training archive on the website where we have lists of basic training videos all the way through advanced setups and operations that you can look at. We are an American company. We've been in business for, like I said, almost 15 years. And we have a 4.7 now, it went down, rating out of 5 on Trustpilot with vetted actual customers with receipts. Billy, my advice is if you can afford the latter with Force, you should get that one. Let me just type something into there. So if that is a direction you can go, based on experience, that's a direction you should go. And Dave can follow up with you on that. Answer the call when he shouts at you. He can help you sort that out. But that's it in a nutshell. So you kind of have a choice. Tomorrow you can wake up and let it all ride on red, continue to gamble, and wonder if your lagging indicators are going to tell you something about the future for the first time. Or if you have to change computers, you tell us, we use the new machine ID and you transfer it to a new computer. There is no charge for changing to a new computer. A lot of companies, they charge that computer change fee, which is garbage. It takes us a minute. We are not here to nickel and dime you, ADFF. Most of our marketing comes from word of mouth, so we hope you'll tell somebody else. And it's really important to us that you don't feel like we're charging you every time you breathe in and out. I never liked that, so I didn't want to do it when we started this. Yeah, no, man, it's all good. And we're not going anywhere. If the company ever closes or if one of us is killed, we decide we've made enough money and we want to finish, we're going to basically unlock the code. We'll release open source versions of the software to all the customers and you guys will have it. So we have a doomsday plan if you're worried about that because you're going to rely on the software. If either we decide to close the company 20 years in the future or Ron and I are killed in a fiery Buddy Holly plane crash, we have a plan to make sure you guys are taken care of. Earl says, just stay away from the red roof and you'll live longer. Karen and I have been together for 33 years now. I've been with her since I was 19 and she was 17. And we celebrated our 26th wedding anniversary in September. So no chance of that. Married guys usually live longer too. So I'm betting on that as well. I love what I do. I love working on these tools. I love training you guys. I can't believe I get to do this every day. And I pinch myself. For those of you that are actual customers, thank you so much for your support. It is not lost on us. that none of this is possible without you. So really, really appreciate it, and thank you. And we'll continue to support you and make sure you're doing well. So thanks for that. Any questions here before we wrap up? Bala, thank you for that. We love you guys. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine on your faces. May the valleys rise up to meet you. May the mountains lay low before you. We honestly are on your side. We want the best for you. I want you to be successful at this. I've seen other people do it over the last 13, 14 years now. I know that we can teach you to do it too. We're as good of a teacher as we are of an engineer. And I can't wait to get your 4 and 5 star review on the other side of your purchase. So I challenge you, come out of the dark, look behind the curtain, join us as we shine the flashlights on the manipulators, the people who are constantly making money, and make some for yourself. Guys, have a great evening. Welcome on board to our new customers. If you get an email or a phone call from Dave, he works with me. He helps new customers get started and onboard and find ways to get started. Please answer his emails, reply back, answer his phone calls. He really is a great guy, and he just wants to help you get started or figure out what you really need. Yeah, absolutely. You can add the training room whenever you want, a month later, a year later. Just tell AD after you purchase, just let me know you want to defer that, and I'll write you an email back and put it in words, put it in writing, and just confirm. This way you can remind me to use that lower price in the future. No worries, man. I never want to be an obstacle to you and your success. If there's something we can do to get out of your way and make it easier for you to get started and be profitable, tell me what we can do, and I'm happy to help you out. If you want me to train you with a German accent, it helps you learn better, I don't care. It's a little weird, but I'll do it. If you can learn faster and make money faster, that's not a problem for me. I'm just all about results. Take care, everyone. I love you all. I'll see you next week, and welcome on board, guys. Have a good night. Bye-bye.